Hello everyone, today I'm at Bishopwearmouth Cemetery. I had everything planned. I was going to do a story called A Tale of Two Headstones, about two headstones that are next to each other and some of the stories about them. But if you look over there, I don't know if you can see it, there's about 20 workmen with leaf blowers and diggers and everything tidying up the cemetery, so I've had to scrap that. So I thought I'd just have a look at a couple of headstones close to the chapel, because I've just walked along and I've noticed a few that I hadn't noticed before. There's one in memory of George Blakey R.N., which is the Royal Navy, who died at sea 1839. And there's a reference to an old place, the burial place of James and Margaret Fothergill of Ballast Hill, Bishopwearmouth, which I believe is down Deptford near the Jewish cemetery, close to B&Q, around that area. Fothergill is a good Westmoreland name. My 3 times great grandmother, she was a Fothergill. It was in the morning of the day that death to me was sent. Then you that have a longer stay, be careful and repent. So a bit of memento mori there. I like it when you get place names and occupations. In memory of William Oliver of Bishopwearmouth, late surgeon. That was what the video was going to be about, a Sunderland surgeon from the 1850s and 60s. It's a fine, different memorial. And this is for Thomas J. Horsley, artist, born October the 7th, 1795, died July the 10th, I think it's 1879. He was a miniature portrait painter who was born in Bishopwearmouth, and he ended up dying, I think it was Derwent Street in the town centre that he died. And what he used to do was he used to paint little miniature portraits, like photographs of the time, and people would buy them off him, like he'd go to the big houses across the north and people would purchase them. Memory of Mary, daughter of the late Robert Harper of Bishopwearmouth, an innkeeper. I think innkeeper sounds better than publican or landlord, because there was all types in Bishopwearmouth at the time. Beer houses, bars, hotels, and the burial place of Ralph Brown, grocer. That's for members of the Bryan family. Not a common name, Bryan. That's a sad one. This is the burial place of George Craggs. He was a keelman in memory of Elizabeth, Ada, Septimus, Margaret, Edmund, Mary and Henry. So that's 7 children who died in infancy. I think he had about 16 to 17. But again, get to know he's a keelman. He actually nearly drowned twice. He had 2 lucky escapes on the River Wear. So keelman was somebody who used to take out coal along the river. There's Anthony Taylor, master mariner, who died after a long and painful illness. That was in 1874. And there's Mark Allen, nephew of the above, who perished with the brig Rover in 1879. And there's a lovely slate headstone. So if you look at that, the person died 1871. That was Mary, wife of George Anthony Carr of South Hilton. By that time, I believe the South Hilton Parish Church had sort of closed down as the burial ground, so people from South Hilton were generally buried here after this point. But as I always say with slate, always keeps everything legible and lasts for ages. You get your money's worth of the inscriptions on this one. This is for members of the Defty family. Also Henry Barnes, Master Mariner, who died at Constantinople in 1871. I think there was a hospital for Europeans at Constantinople because it pops up quite a bit. There's another mention of Bishopwearmouth, particularly around this time, 1850s, 60s, 70s, 80s. People were quite keen to say they were from Bishopwearmouth rather than Sunderland, which correct was true. There were separate areas. And this is in memory of the Reverend Edward Saints, M.A., Vicar of St. Peter's, fourth son of the late John Saints, Esquire of Clanmore, Ireland. Now they were Irish gentry, and Edward became the Vicar of St. Peter's. This isn't the St. Peter's over Wearmouth. This is the St. Peter's that was on, I think it was Cumberland Street, right next to where Marks and Spencer was. There used to be a church. Sadly, he was the vicar before the church was built, but he died before the church opened. He had a vicarage on somewhere on Borough Road, but his family were landed gentry from Ireland, been there for hundreds of years. There's another profession, William Sykes, shipbuilder of North Hilton. I'll move away from that noise. I'm actually gathering up all the leaves in the cemetery. This is for an affectionate remembrance of Elizabeth Amy, the beloved wife of John Law, who died December 16th, 1882. She was 24 years, and also Elizabeth Amy, infant daughter of the above, who died December the 26th, 1882, aged just 18 days. So, not long after Amy had given birth. So I say Elizabeth Amy, mother and daughter, with a both knit surname. The Lord gave and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. So poor John, he lost his wife and his brand new daughter within the space, 10 days. Sadly, very, very common across the Victorian era. In memory of John Grieve, who died March the 27th, 1883, aged 56 years. He was the eldest and last surviving son of the late Lieutenant George Grieve of the Royal Marines, Glasgow. So there's absolutely tons of sailors in this particular churchyard. This is probably one of the most poignant ones in the home of Bishopwearmouth Cemetery. And there's the epitaph: no more death, no night there. In loving memory of Julia and Fanny Brown, the dear adopted orphan nieces of the Reverend Henry Brown, Bachelor of Arts, curate of St Andrews in the town. Their ages were 10 years and 6 years respectively. They died each after 1 day's illness of scarlatina and were buried here side by side, December 14th, 1881. It was really sad. That's not sad enough. their own father had died, so they were taken in by their auntie and uncle, so they had a brand new life. Came up from Manchester to Sunderland, well, Bishopwearmouth at the time, and by a sad coincidence, their uncle and the father were orphans as well, back in the Coventry workhouse back in the late 1840s. So they would have had probably a really good chance to succeed in life, being adopted by an uncle, a vicar, a reverend. But sadly, it just shows you scarlatina, that's scarlet fever, how lethal it could be. And what year is that? We're talking 1881. The Reverend Henry Brown, when he left Sunderland, he took up a position, I think it was in a place called Crettenham, which I think is Norfolk or Suffolk, because the previous vicar had been murdered by his curate, which was it was a big story back in the day. And if you look at this one has got the column cut off, and that means like a life cut short or sudden death, erected by John A. Peterson in loving memory of Minnie, who was Mary Elizabeth, the eldest and dearly beloved daughter of William and Mary Foster, who died January the 11th, 1884. It's 25 years. It's very rare that you'll come across something which mentions the betrothal. That's the only one I've ever come across. She's also remembered on the headstone next to it, the eldest daughter of the above, William and Mary Forster. So she was buried there, and the Peterson family, I believe, if I remember correctly, they were from, it was Shetland or Orkney originally. This one's an affectionate remembrance of Alice, the beloved wife of Thomas Hetherington, who died on the 30th day of May 1873, aged 49 years. And there's a list of the children that died in it. It is George, Thomas Johnson, Hannah, Joseph George. So what's that, in 2 weeks in 1854, they lost 3 children, aged 1, 2 and 6 respectively. Not lost, but gone before. And then, if that wasn't enough, in 1875 they lost another son, and then a daughter in 1879, I think it was 19. But Thomas did remarry, and by coincidence his second wife was called Alice as well. And I think Thomas survived all of them. He died in 1886, age 66. Getting rather dark. I think it's going to rain. Again, what I mentioned before about Master Mariners, John Lilly, Master Mariner. It's one of the commonest names I always come across in Sunderland, is Potts. That's a great name. Morpeth Dryden. It's class when you get names like that. Place names. I think I've seen a Crampton here somewhere. That's a great surname. Mustard. This is a fine memorial in memory of Henry Charles Bond, late at the Lyceum Theatre, Sunderland, which I think might have been the old, what became the Blue Monkey. He was a prompter, so he used to remind people of the lines. But his wife and his mother-in-law owned a brothel. His wife was an opera singer. And if you look at the census from, I think it was 1881, there's quite a lot of young women living with them. And they had brothels around, I think it's East Cross Street. So I think that scroll signifies his job in the theatre. Again, Robert Baker, Master Mariner. Sadly, there's a few headstones have broken there. I think it's going to absolutely hurry down in a minute. Again, George Henry Blakey, Commander in the Royal Navy. I've never noticed that one. I don't think I've noticed that one before. With a great name, Barker Fairley. That's a fine. Carving. No, I've never noticed that one before. I think that's it. Pallion, William and Mary Patterson of Pallion. Never noticed that one before. There's the surname Glasgow. Right, I'm going to bring the video to end because it's getting very loud. I'm getting close to the workers over there, so it's going to rain as well, I think. So thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy that, please give it a like, click on the subscribe if you wish to. So thank you very much for watching. See you later.